It's here, folks. We got the Undertale newsletter, and this thing looks great. We've got tons of stuff inside of here. We've got some brand new interviews with Sans and Papyrus about the number 9. That's so funny. We got some Toriel merch, but y'all know why you're really here. You're here for the lore, my friends. And the lore for this newsletter is in the least likely space. If we scroll down from the top here, we'll see this, an interview between Sans and Papyrus talking about what they think of the number 9. Throughout the interview, they talk about the 789 pun. Papyrus is perturbed by this, claiming that 7 would never eat 9 and was probably innocent. They then go on a weird little tirade about -7 being the one that was responsible, being the villain all along, and how Papyrus is by some proxy 7. Now, I tried translating the binary code they say here, but I couldn't find anything actually interesting, so that's a bust. But the most important thing here is that Papyrus is 7, aka the villain in this scenario. And Sans actively claims that maybe 7 didn't know he was the villain the entire time. This is extremely interesting, and although everybody else writes it off, you guys know better than that. Here, we're looking at the lore, bring out the conspiracy board. There's clearly a connection here. Now, for those of you who somehow haven't heard any of these theories, congratulations. But basically, Papyrus in Deltarune is a lot more closed off, antisocial, depressed, and lonely. Just like me than he is in Undertale. In Undertale, he found a purpose with the Royal Guard. But in Deltarune, there is no Royal Guard, so he's lonely. And we know Gaster is a pro at manipulating people. So, although people assume that he manipulated Chris in some way, it's just as likely that he manipulated Papyrus to be the one to open the Dark Worlds, making Papyrus the villain, and a villain who thinks he's good. Additionally, it's long since been theorized that Gaster is of some relation to both Sans and Papyrus, so if you think about it, it makes complete sense. But we gotta move on to the other stuff, because I know you guys actually want to see some of it. Here we've got a Deltarune Chapter 3 screenshot. Now, there's not a lot to see here, but when was the last time that I stopped because there wasn't any actual lore to uncover? No, I'm just going to make some up. So, we have silhouettes here that are either some sort of plant or monster. Additionally, notice that the color is very similar to Chapter 1, the dark, saturated purples. Now, we see another screenshot for Chapter 4, in which Noelle is inside of a gift closet of some kind, looking at her phone. Now, we can infer from this photo that there actually might not be a Dark World in Chapter 4, like some people have been theorizing. And instead, it will be a chapter just focusing on Hometown. Now, Chapter 5 doesn't have a lot of details about it, but this screenshot here definitely looks like it belongs in Chapter 3 based off the color scheme. Now, if you guys are wondering about Chapter 5, it's just a balloon. Now, a lot of this stuff is really interesting, and definitely warrants its own video. But, you know, that's not what we're here for. You guys want me to get back to the Papyrus being the knight stuff. Now, we went over the lore of why Papyrus might be the knight earlier, but it's time to bring back out the conspiracy board, because, man, this stuff gets interesting in a hurry. Now, here we have a basic connection. Let me just edit a few things. There we go, that's about right. Alright, now let's explain this thing. So, Papyrus. The comment about him being the main villain immediately alludes to the main villain, of course, who is the knight. The knight who is the one that creates the Dark Worlds. The Dark Worlds are somehow connected to Gaster. See our other videos about that. Gaster is very manipulative, which goes back to Papyrus being very gullible, and being related to Papyrus in some way. Now, Papyrus, of course, is the one making the comment, and although this is him from Undertale, Sans winking is a fourth wall break, and the fourth wall break generally means that things have more lore significance. Now, this might be because they're in the Undertale world, and the negative world is Deltarune. Now, Papyrus over here is, of course, related to Flowey, and Papyrus is related to the Dark Worlds by Gaster because Ralsei is Flowey. I knew it! I've been right all along!
Okay, this is an intervention. You need to stop. It's just wrong.
But okay. I'll just go to an end card if you... I'm being forced to say by my PR team that Ralsei is not Flowey. That theory was a joke. Sure it was. But looking at this conspiracy theory board, I think you guys see what I'm saying here. It looks very likely that Papyrus is the knight, or at least that we should take him more seriously as a candidate. So I'm going to make some other videos on this. You guys feel free to, and I'm running out of time, so please like and subscribe.